I see some of my old colleagues from Blair High School, and I'd just like to say a special shout out to all you Vikings out there, particularly when we are up against John Muir and PHS. And PHS, I heard somewhere, won the bell. Is that true? Any dogs out there? Oh, no dogs out there. Okay. No bulldogs. We won't even talk about that. Mustangs, keep your head up. Keep your head up, Mustangs. So without further ado, we would ask the Blair High School ROTC to post colors. Please stand. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. These are our students. Please give them a round of applause. At this time, we are scheduled to have the opening prayer from a particular temple, but I'm not sure if the monks have arrived. And if they have not, I would simply ask Beverly Bogart to come forward and lead us in a brief prayer until they arrive. So Beverly, if you are in the house, please come forward. Beverly Bogart.
Thank you so much. Would you please bow your heads in prayer with me? Our Father and our God, we come before you, Father God, with a humble heart, a thankful heart for this a day that you've allowed us to see, a day that we've never seen, nor will we ever see it again. We thank you for this gathering of people throughout our neighborhoods, our community, our leaders, and we thank you not because of the turkeys that are being given, but because we are able to gather together on oneness. Father God, we have so much to be thankful for, and I just ask that you would touch each person that's here, fix their hearts to receive what you may have allocated for them. And then, Father God, let us learn to work together. I also ask a special prayer for those who lost loved ones in the Paris bombing. Father God, pray one for another, and I ask it all in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
So, they're here? Oh. So at this time, I would like to introduce the Venerable An Ming Teek, the Venerable Lokananda, monks D.U. To, monk An Win, monk An Tri. Please come forward. Please welcome our honored guests.
Good afternoon. My name is Lokananda Bhikkhu. On behalf of my Sangha community and anticipating the world peace and every one of yours peace, good health, I would like to chant from the Buddhist scripture. You may not understand it, but as a respect for the religious activities, you might listen it. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Nahi vere na verani sammanti da kudachanang avere na cha sammanti esa dhamma sanantano, which means animosity cannot condemn by animosity, but with the brotherhood we can overcome the world peace. That is the truth. Thank you very much. May all of you be happy. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Most Venerable. Good evening, all the community leaders. Please take a seat. It makes me nervous when everyone's all standing up and everyone's all proper. My name is Venerable Ungman. I am the co-abbot of UFAP Temple, the president of Modern Enlightenment. We are a nonprofit organization that helps develop the teachings of the Buddha and also apply it in a more practical way. And so tonight's meeting is a community meeting. And community is such a powerful word. And I believe community is something that is a little bit lacking in today's world, and definitely the culture or the generation, the future generation I feel like they're a disconnect with the rise of social media, with the rise of cell phones, with the rise of all these social medias and all these websites and all these ways of contacting people. People are glued to the smartphone or to the computers, and they have no sense of community when it comes to meeting in person. Talk to any younger generation now in high school and try to have a 5-minute conversation with them, and I guarantee you it's the most hardest 5 minutes of your life, because they're gonna revert back to some lingo that is on Facebook. I recently talked to this kid, and he did not have a proper sentence. He was IDK, LOL, BRB, and I was like, really? Really? And so I feel like with the word community nowadays, it's something that we have to strive forward towards. And it's great to see that everyone in the community is coming together tonight in such a large turnout to uphold the word community. And I hope that we all take the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha said that we have, in order for us to achieve world peace, we have to achieve world peace within ourselves. We have to find world peace within ourselves, in our own mind. No matter what the circumstances is, he always taught us the basics of meditation. And I won't go into some really long details, but I can tell you this. Anything that you do, if you do it with a full mindset, with full mindfulness of everything that you do, you will have great success of what you do. And if you work towards the world peace within yourself, light up the candle within yourself, then you yourself can light the candle for someone else. When we take time in a day, 5 minutes of a day, and just self-reflect, focus on our breathing, know that we breathe in, know that we breathe out, know that each and every moment Be in the now, not in the past, not in the future. Be in the now. Because everything that you're experiencing now is based on the decisions you made in the past. Every good thing, every bad thing right now, you experience because of decisions you made in the past. And so if we choose to have a different future, if we choose to have a different outcome in the future, we have to focus on the now. And we take time to develop ourselves, take time to develop our mind, cultivate our mindset, cultivate the compassion to help others. Learn how to give others. Learn how to massage the heart before you ask for their hand. Learn how to lift people up instead of condescending down. Learn how to inspire people instead of tearing them down. And if we learn how to help other people, if we learn how to help others get what they want, we in turn get everything that we want. If we in turn help 3 people, 10 people get what they want, love, harmony, peace, compassion, then we ourselves get love, harmony, peace, and compassion. It's very simple. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing up high in the clouds. It's something that we have to look deep within ourselves. How do we want other people to treat us is the same way we should treat other people. And the sense of community now is very important. It's very important for us to come back together, not as Asians, not as blacks, not as whites, not as Mexicans, not as any skin color there is, but as one race, the human race. Because we can go into different politics now, and I guarantee you, all the politics that we come up as man will always have a flaw. But since we're here and we're sharing one earth, we need to come back together as one community, one species, one race, the human race. Don't look at me because I'm Asian. I won't look at you because you're black or you're Mexican or you're Asian. But I will look at you because we breathe the same air. We walk the same path. You cut me open. I'm going to bleed red. You're going to bleed red. And so we have to come together as a sense of community and care for each other. And since we're approaching this holiday season, everyone's going to have that magical mindset, oh, it's Thanksgiving. We should help the homeless. We should help those less fortunate. No. Hunger does not stop at Thanksgiving. It's a year-long round. So we have to do whatever we can every single moment of our day, every single moment of the month, every single moment of the year to give back to those less fortunate. And then not just that, but learn how to lift people up. They say you can give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. We need to re-educate people on how to live a better life, focus on them, help them realize the potential within themselves, so then one day they can realize this potential and then become a greater person, not only for themselves, but a greater person that they can contribute to their family, but most importantly, a greater person that they can give back to the community. And so I hope that we all take the time to take the teachings of the Buddha, learn how to be more compassionate, learn how to develop wisdom, learn how to develop mindfulness, learn how to help those less fortunate, learn how to help others, inspire others, and develop others, learn how to build mental toughness, learn how to respond positively and second negatively. And you see from that one philosophy, when you practice daily, it'll lead you to a life of abundance, a life of greatness, a life of wealth, but most importantly, a life of happiness. Happiness not only for yourself, not only for your family, but most importantly, happiness for all the communities around the world. So I hope that everyone in here have a great and wonderful night. Namo Buddhaya.
Many of you are aware, yesterday the city released a redacted version of the Office of Independent Review Group report on the shooting death of Kendrick McDade. Within the coming days, the Public Safety Committee, which I chair, will be holding a special meeting to hear directly from the police chief on how the department has responded to the various recommendations contained within the OIR group report. Once we firmed up a date, we are targeting Monday, December the 7th. The meeting notice will be posted at all appropriate locations placed on the city's website. I know that many of you may wish to discuss the OIR group report this evening. However, we lack the time for the thorough discussion the subject definitely deserves, and the city's Public Safety Committee is one appropriate venue for at least to have the initial discussion about the report. At this time, if Steve Bermel would come up before, let's have Steve come up real quick, and then he'll introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, John. I'll be very brief. You have a big agenda. The Fire Chief, Bertrand Washington, is going to come up here in a moment and talk about El Nino. In the back are, in English and in Spanish, some pamphlets with important information regarding El Nino preparedness. Probably the best thing that you can do to prepare is to make sure that you have something like this at home. There's a backpack that contains the supplies that any family would need for about 3 days. It contains water, food, flashlight, radio. So everyone should make sure that they have one of these kits at home. Is anyone celebrating a birthday today? Anybody? Is it your birthday today? Okay, then you win the backpack. All right, with no further ado, Bertrand, why don't you come on up and do your presentation?
Let's give a round of applause to our fire chief, our new fire chief for the city of Pasadena. He's a highly sought-after professional to speak across this country. He happens to have a wife who was born in our community. His wife was smart and said, "You need to bring me back to Pasadena." So let's give him kudos for being smart.
Good evening, everyone. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. As Councilmember Kennedy stated, my name is Bertrand Washington. Certainly a pleasure to serve as your fire chief. With me this evening, I have our new fire marshal, one of our deputy chiefs, Gene Campbell. If you could just... he, along with John Troutwine, are two newly promoted deputy fire chiefs, and they definitely give us a great deal of assistance with what we're doing, and they bring a variety of talents to the city of Pasadena, and we're definitely going to utilize every bit of what they're bringing. So with that, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the city's preparedness for El Nino. I can tell you that each and every department has been spending a significant amount of time over the past months to make sure that we do everything that we can possibly do to have our services ready to respond, ready to build the resilience of the city, and also make sure that we're prepared to recover from anything that may occur outside of what we can control. So we're working with a whole host of partners to do that. And but what I want to do is share some things with you of how you can prepare. All right. First of all, as Steve Mermel shared with our emergency kit, we strongly encourage, ask, we plead that each and every one of you have your own personal emergency kit. And in that, you can make sure that you have the things that are listed here. All right, flashlights with batteries. You want to make sure that you have water. You want to make sure that you have a radio in case power goes out, a battery operated, or better yet, a radio that you can wind up and have it work for you. I think that's Chief Sanchez's people, or maybe it's ours. You want to have plenty of water, and you want to have some non-perishable foods, again, so you can survive for a short period of time, at least 3 days or more, so that as the emergency first responders can triage and take care of the people that are in the most need, those who are injured or in need of significant medical attention. We also want to encourage you to take care of various things at your home. As you can see here, there's a variety of things that you can take care of. Most importantly, your rain gutters. You can make sure that you don't have leaks in your roofs, or if you do, take steps to repair them or prop them up with some things where if it rains very strongly, it won't come through into your home. And also, as we talk about the emergency kit, you want to make sure that you have one in your home, in your place of work, and even in your car. All right, whenever there's storms or heavy rains, oftentimes we can have trees that get weighted down, we can have power lines that get damaged, you can have high winds that can blow trees against power lines. So you want to make sure that you stay away from power lines, or if you see anything that doesn't look right or doesn't sound right, you give us a call. We have sandbags available at 2 of our fire stations, and so you can just call our non-emergency numbers. We can tell you exactly where you can get sandbags, but sandbags are one of the things that you can also do to make sure that you divert water. If, again, water is going to run into your home or door, or there's different elevation issues that you may have in your driveway or at your front door, you can prepare yourself and make sure that you have sandbags ready to be used. So you also want to check your cars. If you have a car or if you use bicycles, whatever mode of transportation that you use, you want to make sure that it's ready, it's safe. Again, if it starts raining and it's very slippery, then you can be prepared. All right, you don't have to worry about sliding across the roads or your windshield wipers are not working. You can get to where you need to go very safely. And that's also with your clothes. When you want to make sure that you have the appropriate gear, the appropriate jackets and things to protect you from the elements. Let's see here. Never use a generator inside a home. Those are some of the worst calls that we go on. We look at them as silent killers because the carbon monoxide that comes out of a generator can kill you. So although we strongly encourage you to have a generator as a backup power supply, please, please don't ever use that generator inside your home. It's meant for the outdoors only. Water, being very careful of water. Please don't think that you can drive through water. You may not know how deep that water is. We've seen it time and time again. Whenever roads fill up with water, people think that they can cross in their car. But oftentimes what happens is the components of the vehicle will get wet and the car will shut down and then you will be stuck. And there's a tremendous amount of debris and water can rise very quickly. And so not only can you be hit with debris, but you can also be surrounded by water and you may find yourself stuck inside of your vehicle. So please, if you see water, just turn around, don't drown. Please sign up for our disaster training presentations if you're interested in learning more specifics about how you can be you're prepared. You can give us a call and we will let you know when our next opportunity is for you to participate in our training. All right, here again, we're talking about the emergency kits. So again, we went over the emergency kit. Very simple to build a kit. You can add various things, of course, like maybe you have some backup medications, or there's various things that you can add to your kit to customize it and make it suitable for your livelihood, again, over that short period of time until we return back to normal. And again, if you want to learn more information about that, about how you can build a kit, this is how you can get in touch with us. Pasadena CERT, C-E-R-T, 33 at cityofpasadena.net. So here's a variety of things that we will recommend. Again, we talked about cleaning out the rain gutters a bit, doing your leaks, taking care of your leaks, watching down power lines, looking at priorities in your neighborhood, we have a special program called Map Your Neighborhood, and that's where we facilitate a group of neighbors where you can just look out for each other. You can understand who needs assistance, who needs help, who has a variety of resources, and you can pool those resources together under a neighborhood leader, and you all can meet regularly, again, just keeping yourself safe and working together as neighbors. On the next slide and next couple of slides, we'll talk about a few different things, but on the final slide, I'm going to have a slide with all the information with numbers and websites that you can go to get all of this. So again, our sandbags are available at these two fire stations, at Station 37, and which is on 3430 East Foothill, and Station 38 on Linda Vista, 1150 Linda Vista Avenue. Again, those are two places where you can go, you can get sandbags. Usually we'll limit it to about 10 per person. And of course, we just ask that you be a resident of the city of Pasadena, and we will give you those sandbags. We also have a video on our website which will show you how to properly fill and place your sandbags. So again, if you go to the website, cityofpasadena.net, you can also go to cityofpasadena.net /fire/El Nino, and you'll receive a host of information. Again, everything that I've covered here, plus much, much more of how you can be prepared. Also, there's a list of numbers here for if you have a specific issue, whether it's your gas, your power, or your water. You can call any of these numbers, or you can call the police emergency number if you have a situation where maybe you just have a question, but it's not an emergency. And certainly you can go to our websites. We would ask that you go sign up at the very top for the Pasadena Local Emergency Alerting System. And that way, if there is a significant emergency and you may not know about it, whatever number that you leave with us, we will contact you to let you know. Of course, if there is a significant problem where, as some other places, whether it's New Orleans or a few other places, had some very significant rains and storms and people needed to evacuate. This is one way where we would notify you of those types of steps that you may need to take. Between the fire department, the police department, the city of Pasadena, we have built several relationships throughout local governments, our partner cities, as well as the county and throughout the state and even the federal government, of how we can make sure that we are aware of what's going on. We can predict different weather patterns. We can see them coming, and we can give you early warning and early notification of steps that you need to take. So we will be doing that through our websites, through our phone systems, through newspapers, TV, any and every route that we can possibly do it through. We will try to get that info, or we will put that information out for you. But all that we ask and we need from you is to give us a means by which we can do that. And one of those ways is to sign up for our notification system, or to get that battery operated radio, or to have just some way that we can reach out to you. All right. So that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello? Okay. So this whole thing about El Nino, I want all of you to take it very seriously with your families, because some of you remember not long ago, the city had a huge windstorm. That windstorm cost the city of Pasadena over $20 million. So I think we're going to have to do more than pray. We're going to have to take action and be prepared. That's what God would want us to do, so let's do what we have to do. We can expect that we are going to have, for the foreseeable future, abnormal weather occurrences that may be wind, fire, water, etc. So let's do our part and keep our families safe. Earlier, I introduced some of the city employees, and I did not introduce our fire representatives that work for Patrol, work for the city, and really work for all of you. And I'd like to acknowledge all the fire personnel who happens to be here today. If you just raise your hand, or they may be outside, but they're here. We have Fire Station 36, which is located on the northeast corner of Hammond and Fair Oaks. And so I would invite Bertrall, since he's new and he's probably scared of me, to make sure that we get some sandbags in our neighborhood at Fire Station 36. Will you do that for us, Bertrall? Thank you very much, Bertrall. Yes. Then I'd like to acknowledge the new president of the Firefighters Association. He may not be here still, but his name is Scott. Scott, are you still with us? Okay, but he was here, and that's important that he came out and he helped, and their organization helped with the donations as it relates to the turkeys. Then I would like to acknowledge one of our top officers in the department, Yanez, who is here in the rear, who represents the PPOA. As a matter of fact, I'd like to recognize all of our police personnel who happens to be here. Just raise your hand, not the ones who are in, what do you call it when you don't have your uniform on? Not the ones that are in incognito, who may be seated next to you. Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. So at this time, I would like to bring up Bill Wong, who is the Director of Housing, to present on the homeless issue. And as Bill comes, this well-trained, highly respected professional, Harvard educated and all that, we just need to demand that he does extraordinary work, that he find housing for poor folks, find housing for the homeless, found housing for seniors. Oh, as it relates to housing for seniors, all of you know that we have Heritage Square, and that's at Fair Oaks, Painter, and Orange Grove. That's going to be 69 units of affordable senior housing, and we want to make sure that people in our neighborhood have access to that housing. So make sure you hold Bill accountable. Bill. Okay, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I have a brief presentation today to talk about homelessness. Homelessness is a very difficult issue. It's one that is affecting really all of California. Los Angeles County is heavily impacted. So the question is, why is it so difficult to solve homelessness? Number one, we have to realize that homelessness, being homeless is not a crime. Being poor is not a crime. So unless individual without a home is committing a crime, they can't be arrested. You can't arrest your way out of, we cannot arrest our way out of homelessness. Secondly, a person cannot be forced to take housing, to take shelter, to take services, to take medication, even when it's available, even when we know it will help. We cannot force people to take it. Homelessness is a growing problem here in Los Angeles County. It is actually exploding in LA County, particularly in the city of Los Angeles. We are adjacent to the city of Los Angeles, and so we get some of that impact on our city. The reason why the number is going up so high is because of the rapidly rising rents and also early prisoner release, which has been taking place for the last couple years. So for homelessness, there is no quick, one-time fix. It's not like a flat tire. You get a new tire and you're good to go. It's not like that. There is no quick fix. There is no cheap fix. And there is no popular fix. In order to fix this problem, it requires resources, it requires the whole community to come together, it requires courage to address this issue. So what is the only thing that solves homelessness? Okay, well, this is my friend. Her name is Dorothy Edwards, and this picture was taken about 4 years ago. You recognize the cup in her hand? It's a Target cup, right? So she lived behind the Target in East Pasadena up on an embankment of the freeway. And so she lived there, highly drug addicted, been out on the streets for well over 10 years. So, you know, what solves, but she's not homeless today. In fact, I saw her a few months ago, and she's been housed for about 3 years, clean and sober for about 2.5 years, and she's been working part-time for maybe about 6 months now. So what solved her homelessness? I don't know if you can see it, the slide. It's not the dog that solved her homelessness, although she's got a great dog. It's the house right behind her. So she was provided permanent housing. That housing there is not a shelter, because if she was in a shelter, we put her in a shelter, she would still be homeless. She wouldn't be out in the cold, but she would be still homeless. But we gave her permanent housing, permanent apartment. Housing is the only way to solve homelessness. And over the last 4 years, we've housed 85 people who are the most difficult to house. Just like Dorothy, we've housed 85 over the last 4 years. Okay, so homelessness in Pasadena. Our most recent count, we count every January with the help of trained volunteers, professionals from professional outreach workers, some from the police department, and from folks at Fuller Seminary. Every January we count. This last January we counted 632 homeless people in Pasadena. 632 in our 23 square miles. Way too many. Way too many. Out of the 632, 70% or 442 were unsheltered. So that meant roughly about 200 were in shelters and transitional housing, but 442 were living out in the streets. What we have found is out of these 442, this population is more difficult than ever to serve. They are more needy and they are more difficult. What makes them difficult? These numbers are self-reported numbers. That meant that the homeless individuals who were counted were given a survey, and this is what they reported. So the actual numbers are probably higher than these percentages, but 40% of them indicated that they were chronically homeless. That means homeless for more than 1 year or having multiple episodes of homelessness. 26% have substance abuse issues. 25% had mental health issues. They were mentally ill, many of them very severely and chronically mentally ill. And 15% were recently released from jail. So this is the street population that we have now here in Pasadena. These are very difficult to serve. This is a very difficult to serve, very needy population. When you look at the numbers over our recent history, so from 2007 to 2011, you can see our number increased from 825 to 1,216. This number, if we didn't do anything, this number would have continued to rise, and today we would have about over 1,600 homeless people here in the city. But 4 years ago, we made a strategic change. 4 years ago, we started a new approach that focused on preventing homelessness and focused on providing permanent homes for the homeless, because that is what ends people's homelessness. Right? So this is what happened to our numbers. So our numbers started to go down. By 2015, we were down to 632. Still way too many. But if we hadn't made this change, we would have had 1,000 more homeless people on the streets today. So what kind of services do we have? We're targeting services to things like homeless prevention. That means if there's an individual or a family that is housed but maybe owes some back rent, maybe they got sick and they weren't able to work for a while, and so they weren't able to pay their rent. They're better now, they're back to work. We would rather step in and help them pay their back rent than have them fall into homelessness. We still provide some emergency shelter beds here in Pasadena and some transitional housing, but those two areas are not our primary focus anymore. That was sort of the traditional way. You know, there was a slogan called 3 hots and a cot. Give a person 3 meals and a cot to stay on. That was how homelessness was addressed. Well, the problem was after you give them a cot and 3 hot meals, they're still homeless. So we focused on permanently housing the homeless population. So for families, we have this program called Rapid Rehousing, and what that does is it works with the families that just most recently fell into homelessness. We want to get them out of homelessness into permanent housing as quickly as possible, because the longer they're homeless, the longer they're going to be homeless, the more difficult it is to get them out of homelessness. So rapid rehousing is to get them housed. And then permanent supportive housing. This is a permanent apartment, but with services, because this population has a lot of needs. Many of them need mental health services, substance abuse services, physical health issues that need to be addressed, what have you. It's housing, but not just housing, and you're left there, no housing, but with intensive services to deal with the root cause issues of why they were homeless to begin with. An example, the last couple years, the YMCA, which is right across the street from City Hall, it has been converted to 142 units of housing for formerly homeless individuals. This is how we got our numbers down. This is part of the way. This slide is a little hard to see. This is Euclid Villa. It is 14 units for homeless families, permanent housing for homeless families. It's right next to the convention center. This is a project that's under construction right now. This is 20 units. 19 of them will be for homeless families where they will have services, but it'll be permanent housing, not a shelter, not transitional housing. It's currently under construction, and it will absolutely be the nicest looking building in the neighborhood. I've provided some handouts in the back. Handouts in the back table. It's under the basketball basket in the back. And let me just walk you through them really quickly. One is understanding homelessness in Pasadena. So it sort of talks about some of the issues that I just went over. What is Pasadena doing about homelessness? So this is a 2-page handout that lists all the various programs that we're working on. Pasadena, not counting police and fire resources, spends about $5.5 million a year on homelessness. Pasadena is doing a lot with respect to homelessness. We have some contact cards on who to call if you need homeless services. We have a flyer that talks about the winter shelter, a place where people can go in bad weather. And then we have a brochure on a public information campaign called the Real Change Movement. So let me just show these to you real quick. This is Understanding Homelessness in Pasadena, and it talks about pretty much what I had already mentioned. This is what is the city of Pasadena doing about homelessness? Many, many programs. These are the contact cards. So if there's a homeless family, if you know of a homeless family, how do they get housing? They call this number 211. This is the county's information referral line to make an appointment. They will be assessed, and there will be the appropriate housing services will be provided for homeless families. On the back side of that card, it's a 2-sided card. On the back side of the card, it shows how homeless individuals can get connected to services. There are seven locations where they can call. I'm proud to say that they are not all in Pasadena, but we've been working very hard to get more homeless services available throughout the county, throughout the the San Gabriel Valley. So there's a location in Pomona, 3 in Pasadena, 1 in Arcadia, 1 in El Monte, and 1 in Monrovia. And then this is the flyer that talks about the winter shelter. You know, many years ago, there was a particularly cold winter, and 9 people in LA County died of hypothermia. 9 homeless people died of hypothermia in LA County, including 1 in Pasadena. And so Pasadena, the city, the faith-based community rose up and said, you know, this is not okay for homeless people to be dying on our streets here. And so a bad weather shelter was started. So we have a bad weather shelter which runs every year. It's located at Pasadena Covenant Church, and it will open November 27th. So it's still about 9 days away. It will open, but it opens on a weather-activated basis. That means it only opens when the forecast says it's going to rain or it's going to be cold. If it's not a cold night or a rainy night, then it's not going to open. But there are two other shelters in the San Gabriel Valley also, the one in Glendale and the one in the East San Gabriel Valley. Those two shelters are going to be open every night during the period that they operate. And the Glendale shelter is already open. It opened on Monday. The report that I got today is they have a capacity for 80 people, and they had only 31 so far. So there's more capacity. So if you know of any unsheltered homeless person, they should not be living out on the streets at night, especially when it's getting cold. There's information there on how to contact the Glendale shelter. And then there's a program that we started here in Pasadena called the Real Change Movement. This program is getting ready to be adopted in the city of Los Angeles and elsewhere throughout the country. But this program is a public education campaign to educate the public on the homeless issues, how to help the homeless, but also it's a call to action. It's a call to action to come to help us to solve this problem. We know almost everybody who sees a homeless person has a desire, they want to help. But if there's no easy way to help, all they can do is complain or maybe give them a couple bucks. So we wanted to come up with a method that is a little bit more effective. And so we have the Real Change Movement. This program includes a website, which I'll show you a couple of screenshots in a minute, but it also includes these orange parking meters. There are 9 of these special orange parking meters set up around the city. There's one at the public library, there's one at the convention center, there's one at the Paseo, there's a couple in Old Pasadena, some in the Playhouse District over at Fuller Seminary. So, and there are more meters coming up. These meters are public donation stations. So if you want to give money to help to alleviate homelessness, this is a way to do it for a couple reasons. I'll tell you a couple reasons why you might want to consider, if you like to give to help, to consider using these meters. One is that surveys have shown that a lot of the money that gets given to panhandlers actually doesn't go for food and shelter, but goes towards drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. Especially in a city like Pasadena where food and shelter and clothing and showers, those are already available for free, right? So that's one issue. Another issue is we know a lot of the the panhandlers here in Pasadena are not homeless at all. They actually commute into Pasadena in order to basically raise revenue for themselves. The third reason is that when you donate money to these meters, all the money stays here in Pasadena. All of it goes to homeless services that prevent homelessness or end homelessness. None of it goes for administration, nothing like that. It all 100% goes into. And then the best reason is every penny that gets donated here gets matched by the United Way of Greater Los Angeles. So if you put in some money, it gets doubled. So if you ever want to give money, but you're not quite sure, should I give this person money or not, this is a way that you can give with confidence without having to think about it too much. There's a great website that is very educational. It has a number of videos, including there's a video by of the chief in the lower left-hand corner, where he talks about how you can't arrest our way out of this problem. There is an economist who talks about why it's actually cheaper to house the chronically homeless than to allow them to continue to stay out on the streets, because when they stay out on the streets, they go to the emergency rooms, they use police services, they go to the jails, they go to courts. All of these things are very, very expensive, and it's much cheaper to house them. And then finally, it'll also tell you where the meters are. And then the last two things, following up on what Councilmember Kennedy said, Heritage Square Senior Housing is under construction right now. It'll be finished mid-2016. There is a handout in the back called the Heritage Square Senior Project, and it tells you how to call in and sign up to get on the interest list so that when the lease up starts, you will be notified. You'll be in the first group to be notified. And then lastly, for any of you who are homeowners, low-income homeowners, there's a handout that talks about a whole suite of programs that you can get for your home. Free attic insulation, free new energy-efficient water heaters. You can get a very low interest rate loan to do things like put a new roof on. You can get your house painted. You can get a wheelchair ramp built. You can have your turf removed and replaced with drought-tolerant plants. And you can have solar put onto your house, all for free. And there's our workers, our MASH workers installing solar. Last year we did 8 homes, free solar in Pasadena. So if you're a low-income homeowner, take a look at that brochure. There's an incredible amount of free resources available to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Got a lot of work to do with a limited amount of money. It's always good to have our top executives of the city to join us at community meetings. Please welcome Michael Johnson, and his presentation will be inordinately brief.
Thank you very much, 3rd District residents. I would be remiss as your public health director to not remind you that it got cold out there, and that cold snap should remind you to get your flu shot. Every year we get a flu shot that protects us and that protects our family members. And that's called prevention. The Affordable Care Act in this country has expanded health care coverage to individuals, and we're going to see expanded coverage for additional individuals this next year when the state has expanded health care coverage to undocumented children. So that expanded coverage provides us with the opportunity to provide prevention-based programs for individuals in our community. It's my pleasure tonight to have my colleague, Angelica Palmeros. Give her a round of applause. Angelica's been running programs here in the health department for many years. She has been working tirelessly with a number of community representatives to bring up this wonderful new program. This is a prevention-based program. You know, my grandmother used to say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And this is really what we're trying to get at in the public health department, is to prevent problems before they happen. And this program, this wraparound service program focused on our youth, that it's going to be based over here at Jackie Robinson Center, is really what this is all about. And I'm going to let Angelica tell you more about the program.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. I'm going to talk about our Project Wraparound program, which was funded through the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration. And I just want to thank everybody in the community, because this actually was possible through a lot of the interviews and input that everybody gave, you know, and provided us so that we could write the grant. So once they saw the information that there was a need in the community, it was funded. So I'll go ahead and just, so basically it's a 3-layer project. It's a research grant. And we're talking about a systems of care approach, which means we're going to work with the agencies, but the agencies cannot work alone as partners without the input of the family and the youth. So the services are for parents and youth from 0 to 21. And you might be wondering why 0 to 21 or 0 if they can't receive mental health services. But however, parents often, and even when a baby's in the stomach and is developing, actually can feel some of the stressors that the mom or the situation is happening. So sometimes, you know, that can affect the birth. So it's important for us to continue working early on. And like Michael said, prevention is the key factor here, that we want to start really early for kids. So go ahead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to wrap up, so I would just simply ask you to give your full attention to the speaker, because we are fortunate to have professionals in the city of Pasadena who come and share with us. So I just simply ask for maybe the next 5 minutes that you give the kindness and welcoming spirit to our guests tonight. Thank you.
And I'm going to make this really short so that we can wrap up. However, the program is a three-layer. It's going to work with the community. We're extending an invitation to parents and youth to be part of the core. We have a monthly, about every month we're having a meeting with a lot of community members. And we need parents and youth to be part of this process. There's actually a small stipend or incentive that will be given to the parents and the youth who participate. In order for this program to work, we need your input. We can't work alone. We can create programs and we think they work. However, we won't know if they are truly working if we don't have that partnership. So this is why SAMHSA really wanted this. It's moving towards that philosophy, and that concept is to really bring your input in this process. So basically, the services that we're going to be providing at Jackie Robinson Center in partnership is a case management program. There's a social worker, and I actually put the agencies obviously over here, and a freeway kind of deal because we have to navigate a process. So together as partners, we're going to navigate that process. A picture of the center, so it's over there. The team has a clinical social worker case manager, a family care coordinator, which is a case manager services, and a peer outreach coordinator that's going to be working with the youth and getting back into the services and bringing them in. Just for you who didn't know, there's a I was thinking of HIV at this point. A green ribbon actually representing mental health services. So when you see a green ribbon, that's the symbol. And we actually brought some pens and information in the back that if you need in addition to. So we're going to be providing counseling and education, crisis intervention, again, care coordination, and other services in the community. So there's some information, our contact information, or if you want to get in touch with us, you can, Jarvis at the center, he'll have our information available for you. And at this point, obviously, we don't have questions. But anyway, thank you, everyone. So.
Thank you for being here. That's special. Okay. We're almost there. I'm hoping that Brandon Fisher is here. All right. I want you all to get to know this young man. He is the pastor of First AME Zion on Raymond in District 3. He's a dynamic leader, speaker, lawyer, extremely well educated. He pastors a small church and he's in our neighborhood. And I would like to invite him to the podium to give our closing prayer. Brandon Fisher, come on. What's up, boy? How you doing? Come on now, talk to the people.
Good evening, everyone. Let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for District 3 and its leaders, and God, for each person assembled in this room. As we go on to celebrate this holiday season, God, let us remember that we have so much to be thankful for. God, we thank you for every volunteer, for every person that helps, and for those who will help tonight. And God, as we leave this place, we know we never leave your presence. God, until we meet again, be with us is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.